So I read Eclipse. Let's talk about it. In case you couldn't pick up on it in my brief intro, Eclipse is pretty middle of the road for me. It's definitely not my favorite in the saga, and it's definitely not my least favorite in the saga. It's just kind of there. Which means I have no idea how long this video will be because I don't have that much to talk about. To me, Eclipse's main point is sort of establishing but really furthering this love triangle. If you were around during this time, especially once the movies came out, you would know about the massive phenomenon of Team Edward versus Team Jacob. I've said throughout these videos that when it comes to the books, I am Team Edward, and when it comes to the movies, I am more Team Jacob. This is the book that catapults that into the spotlight. I might have more to say about this book if I liked love triangles. When I was a young teen and tween, when reading this series, I loved love triangles. In my own writing, it was my main plot point. I ate it up. I loved it. I loved the idea as an insecure teenager that having one person be into me was a fantasy, but imagine having two. Like, I ate it up. I ate up the idea of two people both being into me, literally fighting for me. It was romantic, it was lovely, it was amazing. I got a bit older. I have not been a fan of love triangles for many, many years now. And like, this book isn't bad. It's certainly no new moon, but it's also just the main thing that I can talk about is the love triangle. Like that being the main thing that I took away from this book, kind of disappointing. Obviously, this book defined the love triangle. It became the thing. It's still a thing, but love triangles were insanely popularized because of the Twilight phenomenon, specifically Eclipse.
Editing Madison here, I wanted to add a quick comment about the love triangle aspect to this novel. Rereading it this time around, I couldn't help but think, you know, what if they just entered a throuple? I really think that would have been a very fascinating angle to take the storyline.
And this love triangle, in my opinion, is very problematic. Specifically, Jacob. Yes, I need to rant about Jacob again. There are two main aspects about Jacob's corner of the love triangle that I want to talk about. The first one is the dicey consent. I mentioned in my last video that Jacob gives off these nice guy vibes. He can sometimes lean into this mentality that because I'm nice to you, I am owed you in a romantic relationship, which is just so icky to me. And I feel like Eclipse leans even more into it and tries to paint it as romantic. Oh, you're back with Edward and you're like super happy and you've made your choice very clear over and over again, but I'm still gonna fight for you because that's how romantic I am. And I don't like it. While yes, it can feel romantic to have someone fight for you no matter what, it also just ignores Bella's wishes completely. And that's really the thing that bothers me. Because then we get into the infamous scene where Jacob kisses Bella without her permission, and she literally breaks her hand to emphasize how much she didn't appreciate it. Doesn't that tell you something? If someone punches you because they have violated not only your boundaries, but you in general, that you break your hand trying to enforce it, sorry, Jacob, I don't like you. But the second thing that I want to talk about when it comes to the love triangle, and Jacob specifically, is he doesn't let Bella define her feelings for herself. Because when I was reading New Moon, and continuing to read Eclipse, I got the sense that what was occurring between Bella and Jacob from Bella's perspective was mainly platonic. Yes, she considered loving him in a more romantic fashion, but that was because she was adjusting to the fact that Edward wasn't an option. When Edward became an option again, Jacob wasn't. Playing around with the idea of being in a romantic relationship with him didn't exist anymore. But for Jacob, it still did. And Jacob's insistence that Bella is in love with him drove me up a wall. Because Bella has been very explicitly clear from New Moon into Eclipse that she's not in love with him. She loves him, she considers him family, but she doesn't have those romantic feelings for him. But Jacob pushes anyway, and it all reaches a head when he literally threatens to go into battle, sort of planning to not ever come back permanently in order to get Bella to 1, kiss him again, and 2, finally admit that she's in love with him. And I am so sorry, but if someone has to go to those extremes, hello, that's emotional manipulation. And Bella follows through with it because, of course, she was put between a rock and a hard place. Save her friend's life by kissing him or letting him go. I don't care if Edward knew that it was a bluff because Edward read Jacob's mind. I don't care. We care about Bella's perspective. From Bella's perspective, she was going to lose someone she legitimately loves if she didn't kiss him. That is disgusting behavior, and it just makes me despise Jacob. Because Bella has defined her feelings from the start. Yes, she loves Jacob. She cares for him. If she had no other option, isn't that romantic, she would probably be with him. But that's not what's happening. The reality of this fictional novel is that she loves Jacob as a friend, and Jacob refuses to allow her to stay in that place. He pushes and manipulates her to get her out of that space because all he wants is for her to admit that she's in love with him. And I, as a subjective reader, just do not buy it. Wow, I got really passionate there. Okay, let's take some calming, cleansing breaths for a moment. Bring us back to center. Because the other aspect of Eclipse that I want to talk about is yet another negative thing. But this one I feel is much more controversial because I want to talk about Alice. I feel like the general fandom sentiment when it comes to Alice is she's an enjoyable character. People tend to really like Alice. First of all, she has one of the more fascinating backstories among all the vampires in the saga. But the more Alice has become involved in Bella's life, the less inclined I am to like her, which genuinely surprised me. When I first read this series, this did not stand out to me at all. It wasn't until this most recent reread that this started to come out to me, and it just left a sour taste in my mouth. Alice feels like a less pushy version of Jacob in the fact that Alice refuses to let Bella define things for herself. We could argue that that's literally Bella. Bella is not a character that necessarily defines things for herself. However, she does have a lot of things that she has defined for herself. One, she loves Edward, and Edward is 100% her choice, hands down. No one's going to change her mind on that. Two, she wants to be a vampire. As much as Edward would love to change her mind about that, she's pretty stubborn about it. Three, she doesn't care for fashion, whatever, she'd rather be comfortable, relatable. And four, she hates parties. Alice likes to push Bella outside of Bella's comfort zone in ways that just don't sit well with me. Because to me, there's a difference between, hey Bella, I'm planning on throwing a graduation party, and I would like you to also be a co-host with me. What do you say? Even if you don't want to be a co-host, it would still mean a lot to me if you showed up. As opposed to like the really pushy way that Alice essentially forces Bella to host and perform for this party. And Alice continues to push Bella in a lot of those kinds of ways, forcing Bella to wear clothes that Bella would never choose for herself, forcing Bella to go to things she would never do. And it's really pushy. It sours Alice's character for me in a way very similar to Jacob's character souring for me in New Moon. Now it's Alice's turn in Eclipse. I don't know what's happening. I never thought that I would come to feel about Alice. Like, Alice? Why would I think that about Alice? But yeah, Alice, I don't like her as much. And I hate that that's one of the conclusions I came to from Eclipse. I think it's only fair that I also pour some hot water on Edward, because while we're on the topic of forcing Bella to do things that she doesn't really have an interest in, there is absolutely an argument that Edward does the same thing for Bella in forcing her to get married before she's ready. And yes, my bias towards Edward is absolutely coming out, because while I don't like it, and I am not in favor, especially of romantic partners, but of anyone forcing anyone to do anything they don't want to, such as getting married before they're ready, I do like how it's set up in the book. Because Edward pushing Bella to marry him is a part of an overall compromise in order for Bella to become a vampire. To me, the way that this conflict is set up is kind of just a conflict of priority. What is Bella willing to compromise on in order to get what she truly wants? Bella wants to be with Edward forever, which means becoming a vampire. Bella wants to be a vampire. We know this. It's well established. It's one of the things that she refuses to let go of. And part of that is Bella would much rather Edward be the one to turn her. So Edward uses this as a bargaining chip. Again, not something I would recommend, but like the things that he's bargaining with her on are like a few more years of being human, maybe some experiences at college, and then the big one that he won't let go of is marriage. And so the two of them have these conversations and come to what's framed as a compromise. Whether or not you buy it as a compromise, or if you agree with, no, Edward's just as pushy in getting his way and pushing Bella to do things that she doesn't want to do in order to make everyone else happy, fine. You are absolutely welcome to agree with that, but I am biasly inclined to view it as the compromise. That's me just kind of dribbling a little bit of hot water on Edward. To leave this book off on a positive note, because the things that I've been saying, I feel would convince me as a viewer to be like, are you sure you disliked New Moon more than Eclipse? Because it seems like you dislike Eclipse more. Edward's in it. I'm sorry, I'm biased. I love Edward. And genuinely, I just found the experience of reading the book more enjoyable, comparatively. Yeah, those are the positives that I have. Edward's in it, and it was more enjoyable to read. Awesome. That's all I have to say about Eclipse. Yep. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all the fun YouTuber stuff, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye! My camera battery is getting low, so I had to speed through it. Also, am I wearing a hat because I had no idea what kind of hairstyle to do and I haven't washed my hair in a little bit too long? Maybe, yes, absolutely, that's what happened. But also, can we admire, I know my hair is probably hat hair right now, but can we admire my eyeshadow? I think it's pretty. I don't know how well you can see it. I'm probably out of focus for you, but maybe you can see it better now. Oh god! Let's try that again, shall we? How do we look? How are we looking? I don't know. We're gonna have to review the footage. Woo! Okay, we seemed awfully high last time, so we're gonna try again. Gotta adjust my hair. I'll just stop the video and think for a moment. Love triangles were insanely the love triangles, I can't talk anymore. And this love triangle, in my opinion, is very I mentioned it very briefly. It's like jeans are digging into me. Is that the other book? I think that was the other book. Or was that this one? I don't remember. I don't remember what the second point I was going to say was. That was a weird sound. I'm gonna do 17,000 takes just for a quick little thing.